in a conversation in a meeting, and an assumption was made about my sexual preferences. I found myself in a conversation the next day with a boiler repairman who decided to try and take the mickey. By the third day, I was having conversations around gender, around identity, around the role of stereotypes in society and the impact they play with men on conversations that it's so hard to normally break. By the end of that week, I realised that we were onto something and that we had a chance to break stereotypes, and not nails, and draw a group of men into some of the most meaningful and important conversations that affect so many aspects of society, and perhaps we can shift those rigid ideas of identity and masculinity that suggest strength, but as we can see, very often lead to weakness.
And Daniela, you got on board as well, didn't
I did,
you?
yes.
And so you've been painting people's nails, haven't you?
No, I've only just, to be honest, I've been doing the same thing, so I had to have the experience myself before I signed up to it and said, yeah, let's get this going. But I only just became a nail technician because I was just so passionate about it, and I want to. I do a lot of work with men, and I just see not enough men having meaningful conversations. And so for me, the reason I wanted to be qualified is to have the ability to do exactly what we did before, Gareth, is just sit there, paint someone's nails and have a conversation that actually means something. So talking about, you know, what masculinity means to them, and also talk about how these rigid, the man box that we're put in often as men, how damaging it can be. And so for me, it's much more about having that richness of conversation.
I keep my boys humble. Like, my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. You know, my boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like, your kids. And no, I don't give a I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid. Mm-hmm. Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other ones, he's like, yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he gonna straighten the other ones out. Mm-hmm. So it's just that thing of, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities, for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open a door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men. And that's always, since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you're the man of the house. Mm. You make sure these doors are locked every night, this alarm is on, you text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing. Yeah. So you got to have a little guard in there, you know? And so for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different.
Good job.
You want to talk about, is American masculinity dead? I don't think so. I think that they're...
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it. Women has taken on the role of American masculinity in men. And not intentionally, it's just that's what's being pushed to us. Because it's being highlighted that women are now the masculine one in relationships, when there's still good men out there not being highlighted, and good men that believe in responsibility and being a man in a relationship.
Isn't part of being a good man not being highlighted for being a good man?
Not to be a dick. Because I'm not trying to be a dick, and I'm not trying to harp on things. This was my fucking point with that Doechii straight man red flag conversation.
Let's go.
This was the exact
it's being
point.
Highlighted.
What he's saying is that, yo, there are still men.
Talk about it.
Men.
Talk about it.
Whatever your interpretation of that is, he described his. A lot of men agree with that.
Okay.
There are still men.
That's not
out
being
there.
erased, though. You think what he described as being a man is being erased?
No, and
the depiction of what a man looks like, many people, and I said this in that Doechii conversation, feel that there's an erasure happening with that. So when you hear somebody say, hey, I'm raising mine like this, like men, like some people still take pride in whatever that interpretation of man is. But to act like when you pick up a newspaper, a magazine, hear from prominent black people, fucking see on TV, see in movies that version of man is
No
not
longer
being
exists?
represented
Yeah.
properly. Like there's a reason for it, and that Doechii comment is part of it. She has nothing to do with this, so I don't want to get back to her. But that's why y'all that were like, oh, y'all making a big deal out of nothing. Some people were making a big deal out of it because they see a different picture happening over the years.
They tying it to the other shit.
Our children, I mean, we have children that we're raising, and what they're learning is not, what they're learning is on the contrary of what's happening in the home.
They'll show you a man sucking another man's dick today before they show you a man acting like a man.
Exactly.
What does acting like a man mean?
Acting like a man, being responsible.
I keep saying that's open for your own interpretation.
It is, and so
many people agree with some of the things that he laid out.
Argument.
There's an attack on straight men.
Hold on,
I'm not trying to interpret it from her.
Well,
There's an attack on strong, straight men. Period. I'm not trying to fucking read through cryptic notes about how you feel about some shit.
That is a fact. You are 100% correct. I told you back when we was over at Park's crib, I said, yo, if you ever want to test that theory, go search straight black man on Twitter and put it in quotes. And you went and looked and was like, oh, this is pissing me off. Like that's just been a thing.
Okay, now hold on.
There are systematic efforts that are out there to discredit and silence the black man.
I'm not talking.
But you have to acknowledge that too,
I'm
Mel.
not.
Mel, wait. Listen, you you should acknowledge the fact that there is a movement to discredit the black man, to discredit men.
The straight black man.
The straight,
not just black men, the straight black man.
Online, they're showing that women have all this power and women are in control of the home and the black men are not here to take care of their children.
Legislation says different.
Legislation where?
Legislation that's being passed, Roe v. Wade being overturned, the anti-abortion laws. There is literally...
We're talking about social media that's being fed to our children.
Okay.
And now if you go on here, there's always something to discredit the black man. You know that and I know that. So that's what the point we're getting at, is that there's something that's going on. Not taking away that there's not, we know that there's predators out there. We know that there's men out here that take advantage. But there's also a lot of great men out there that take care of their family, that provide for their children, that protect the home. And that's not being highlighted anymore.
In no way, shape, or form am I fucking denying that at all. I'll highlight it as much as possible.
You don't when you say I'd rather be around a bear.
What's going on, YouTube family? K-Souls here, back with another video. Join me on my walk. I kind of live in a stick, so walking to a train station, basically it's a long walk across fields, and there's a road with fast moving cars by me. But so apologize for the noise, but yeah, usually you see me in my car, but my car's getting serviced. I'm about to go pick it up now. So I've got to take a long walk to the train station. And yeah, let's talk. So obviously you saw the videos at the beginning of this piece of content, and basically it's talking about the attack of masculinity, right? I showed clips of a discussion that was held on the Joe Budden podcast, as well as the foundation of that discussion, which was what Anthony Mackie said about how he raised his kids and the attack of masculinity, basically. I made a video last week about this stuff, and I was editing it, right, in my house. And my missus was in the same room, and she overheard what I was saying. And that made us enter a deep discussion about masculinity and femininity and what's going on in the world today. And basically, she took a similar stance to Melissa Ford. And I was doing the whole man ego, masculinity, pride thing, you know, standing on business with this whole masculinity thing, because I do think there's an attack on masculinity. But after having like a proper conversation with her, I realized what the real problem is, yeah? And the truth is, yeah, there's also an attack on femininity, yeah? There's just a general attack on humans, because I think, yeah, what has happened is the enemy, whether you want to look at that as the devil or the system or whatever is bringing confusion on this earth and is destabilizing all of us. So it attacks femininity and it attacks masculinity. Now I think, judging by what my missus was saying, right, I think that what the reason why women or the modern women have a problem with us focusing on the fact that there's an attack on masculinity is because we're not acknowledging the fights they've had to have. Because what my argument was that, okay, if there's an attack, she said there's also an attack on femininity. And I was like, okay, if there's an attack on femininity, why does it seem more like an empowerment that women are becoming bosses? Maybe women are performing better in the corporate world, or why does it seem like being independent, not wanting a man and all of that? Why does it seem like that's what the new age women want? That's what I was saying. Because men are not comfortable with not being the man they believe they're supposed to be, and they feel attacked because not being the man is being celebrated, like what Joe Budden said. They'll rather see two gay men kissing or put that out there than show us a successful black man raising a family. And I did find that too. Like, there's, especially with black men, there's always the image that we always see is either you're a gangster, either you're a struggling father in a low-paid job, or you're gay, you're a black man that's gay, right? These are the three main things we see being promoted in media. That's why, to us, it looks like it's more of an attack. They don't want to show a strong, powerful man that is actually doing right by his family. Do you know what I mean? If they are doing right by his family, they're not doing well in society. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what we see a lot of the time, unless they're athletes, rappers, or entertainers or whatever. And that's what it seems like, right? But actually, when you think about it, because my another argument of mine was, she asked me what do I think masculinity and femininity is, because maybe we're using it in the wrong context, right? And I was like, well, to be honest, when I really think about that question, sorry, I need to cross the road. It's more to do with, I think biology that plays a big part in it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because physically, men are built stronger, men are built a certain way. We're very active, we have testosterone and all of that. And that automatically suggests that we are physical, we need to go out and work, we need to protect, all of these things. Our biological makeup shows that we fit into that category of genders that should be doing that. And then women's biology is, going through monthly cycles, having babies, raising babies, nurturing, that's the nature. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that should shape how we see femininity and masculinity. That was my argument, right? Even anyone who sees this, you can shut me down and say I'm wrong and all of that. But I'm just telling you how the conversation went. I've got a better idea of things because we really did a deep dive together, and I've deeped some certain things just from that conversation. She kind of agreed and said that, but the reason why women don't rate those positions anymore to just be like homemakers or just get into the real femininity of nurturing, raising a family, all of that stuff, is because of the trauma they've experienced from men, being at the hands of men, being under men. And also, I would say, what I would add to that, she said the trauma of men, because I said, why is it always against men though? Okay, you want to be independent, you want to do this, but there's a lot of talk against men, and that's why it seems like there's an attack as well. But she was like, because of the trauma they've been through, and they've had to find a new way and they've excelled at the new way, which is true. Like that whole movement as well is probably a bunch of women that, one, have either suffered, or two, they've realized that maybe that they can't, like maybe they're older women that haven't been able to settle down. It hasn't worked out for them. So of course they're going to need the defenses. They're going to need to empower themselves to feel confident and good about themselves. So of course a lot of women are going to double down and stand on business with, oh, we don't need men, we don't. You need things to make you feel better. And I'm not trying to say every single, remember, in this whole conversation, I'm generalizing, right? So when I'm generalizing, I'm talking about the majority of each gender. I'm not talking, there's a lot of individuals, there's people that are trans, there's people that don't feel like their body. So that whole biology conversation doesn't really apply to them because they feel like they're in the wrong body, so they're going to do different or whatever. And there are also individuals that are different. So I'm not saying this is for everyone, but what I will say is that a lot of women are using this whole independent woman thing, boss bitch energy, all of that, because maybe they've either suffered in the hands of men, seen their parent suffer, or maybe their grandparent, whatever it is, they've seen a family member suffer at the hands of a man, or relying on a man, or following a traditional value. Either that, or, just with the way the world is now and social media, they've just been trained now to think that's the right way. Okay? But that's also an attack on femininity. And some may not see it as an attack, some may see it as, no, this is how I want it. But what femininity is, biologically, it's an attack on that. Some women will realize it is, or some women secretly know it is. Some women secretly want a man, so you secretly want all these things, but the options for them is not even worth it. Do you get what I'm saying? So, as men, we need to pattern up. And we have failed a lot of these women. That's the honest truth. And you could also say women have failed men because the lack of understanding and just like painting us all with the same brush and judging us and adding to the tear down, because I think men are teared down a lot as well because of maybe what men have done in the past or whatever. So now there's buzzwords for men that tear the men that are trying and that are good down. So now we're just all painting each other with the same brushes. I think the real enemy is confusion. The real enemy is trying to confuse our minds. It's getting in the way of us really knowing our roles in society as both male and female. It's making men not really understand their roles as men and not even understand masculinity. Now, people are using this as a weapon. Sorry, that was the ambulance. So men are now using, well, not all men, but a lot of men that follow the red pill content will now use masculinity as a weapon against women, and that's not what it's about. What I liked about what Anthony Mackie said was that he'll raise his children to be gentlemen. Please, sir, madam, open doors for women. We're meant to look after women, do you know what I mean? And I think it's fooling women into thinking they don't need men because of, I could even say it's a spiritual attack, yeah? How men have been spiritually attacked and how men have been failing is fooling women into thinking that we're useless. We're choosing value over connection. That's the best way I can put it. Because connection could go a long way. Two heads are better than one. You can work with someone, you can thingy. And I know a lot of women will say, I don't want struggle love, I don't want all of this. I need a man to be a certain way before I enter it because of the trauma again. At the end of the day, as long as we're living in this life, no one is going to be the perfect person. There's always a lack somewhere. Some men will have money but lack emotional stability or vulnerability. Some men will have that or won't have money. There's loads of things, but we have to understand this, and I said it in my previous video, have grace for each other as men and women, and that's that. And we're all being attacked. Even everyone is being attacked Man, them don't think that these women are not being attacked. Even if you think they're being celebrated, they're being attacked because a lot of them are lonely at home crying at night or finding so many vices to cloud their judgment. Yeah? Finding vices to cloud the fact that they're not happy.